Okay. Howdy, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Pod, the most polite podcast on the internet. Sadly, Ryan couldn't make it today because he was cleft in twain by a helicopter propeller in a freak skydiving accident. We have Butch here to fill in the blanks, and that's pretty fucking good too. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm wearing a shirt on Twitch, and that is a law now. You can't get away with not wearing a shirt. And I I understand you have a little bit of a backstory on that.
Yeah, well, I personally have never not worn a shirt on Twitch, but I recently found a Twitch channel from a dude named Caleb Hart 42 who just sits around and he plays Mega Man all night. And I can't stop watching it, but for the longest time, he was shirtless the entire time and he's like a bodybuilder and stuff. But his Mega Man skills are so dynamite that I couldn't resist watching it.
So what you're saying is that it's not the shirtlessness that caused the popularity, it's his ability to play Mega Man, and he's just using the shirtlessness in order to satisfy his own impulses.
No, I think the shirtlessness had nothing to do with my enjoyment of it, but I think it has the enjoyment of other weirdos. And all I know is that he plays Mega Man awesomely, and he got me into Mega Man. I built this really nerdy thing because of him.
Oh.
It's a good channel. I'm addicted to it a little bit.
Yeah,
But
so about Mega Man, now, does he play all the Mega Man series, or does he play, and we're talking about, his name is Caleb Hart, is that what you said?
Caleb Hart 42. Yeah.
Caleb Hart 42
Yeah.
is the official Twitch channel of Mr. Pod. Go there to
Everybody,
see
everybody
some.
check it out. I'm plugging his ass. I don't know why, but
I don't either. We don't know this guy. He has nipples. That's all we know.
not anymore. He has a tank top.
Now, he still probably has nipples,
Well,
but
he's not showing them off.
is this just the Mega Man X's? Because everybody knows Mega Man X is the only good Mega Man series.
Well, yeah, he started with Mega Man X. He world recorded it, and then he moved on to X2, and currently he is trying to world record X3.
Wait, world recorded. Who keeps track of that?
Oh, there's a huge ass community. There's even a huge community on Twitch that are Mega Man speedrunners. There's plenty of speedrun games, but Mega Man's one of the more popular.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen speed runs of let's see, Contra, Castlevania. Well, I guess you can't really speed run Contra because the screen moves at a set rate. But but I've seen some Castlevania ones. I've seen some Zelda ones that were pretty impressive. But honestly, I can't think of anything more worthless and ridiculous to watch on the internet than someone playing Mega Man.
Every time he plays it, it's exciting because he might world record, dude.
Yeah, but that's like making history in a area that nobody cares at all about, except for this. I guess in many ways,
They have conventions and
it
they have
probably
meetups and
it probably mirrors Twitch. It's a good metaphor for Twitch in general, where you're talking about a subset of Americans, or not Americans, but a subset of people watching something that most people in the world are going, who gives a shit about any of this?
but
And
the people who do give a shit
yeah,
give a lot of a shit.
they give a lot of a shit. Now, what do you think's bigger? Do you think Mega Man speedruns are bigger, or do you think Magic card tournaments are bigger?
That's a hard one. I've never watched the Magic, and I don't think I ever will. But I know Mega Man speedruns is very small compared to like real games,
Well, real games. Yeah, I mean,
like Destiny, man.
if he was playing Dota or
Yeah.
or like well, I don't even know what's popular. Call of Duty. I don't know what kids are playing these days. But
League of Legends and shit.
yeah, I don't really keep up with the generic titles like that. That's more of a console gamer type of a thing.
Ugh.
but speaking of transitions, you are a Xbox One kind of a person, which we all know is the third installation of the Xbox. Why is that? And more specifically, why don't you let people with PlayStation 4s like be happy? Why aren't they allowed to smile anymore?
Because consoles in general suck, and games on consoles suck. But if you're gonna buy one, you should buy one that does cool stuff instead of dumb stuff.
like plays games.
No, my Xbox is a perfect TV companion. Whereas a PS4, I would literally never turn it on because I don't play any games on either of them.
So why do you have one?
It's just cool, man.
What's the point if you don't? I mean, okay, it's a game console.
It's got all the TV crap. It's like buying an Xbox or like a video game thing, but it also does all that crap that you buy like a Roku for.
But
and it does it way better.
You can get like a TV tuner card for a computer and plug it in, and it does everything.
When like a Forza game or an NBA game comes out, I can play it. It's only sports games and car games are the only thing you play on a console.
That's true. And how fucked up is that? I would pay $100 if I could get Madden on the computer. And that's, mainly just because I would be offsetting the cost of buying a console that I would never use for anything outside of playing football games.
If you want to watch a lot of good football, Xbox is an excellent source to do so.
A lot of good football. TV is a good source for that.
It's got your like fantasy crap all up on the screen.
Yeah.
You can pin it.
Well, that's what a cell phone's for. Why do you need a TV companion? I don't understand the point.
Just because it's cool, that's why.
It's cool. Okay, you heard it here first. The Xbox is cool.
And the PlayStation isn't.
And the PlayStation is for fools. That's
PlayStation
the quote.
is for nerds, man.
For nerds.
Xbox for bros.
Well, then we should probably have like 4 of them.
Yeah, we're bros.
Oh no, I'm definitely not a bro.
Nerd?
I'm a nerd for sure. I don't even know what a bro is. I don't know. I don't do shots on the weekend, so. And what people might be noticing, and I probably should have brought this up earlier, is I'm not recording my voice using a piece of old pipe and a can with a string attached to it anymore. I actually bought a microphone, and it's from the Blue brand. I got the Snowball, which is it's not the cheapest Blue, but it's certainly not. It's cheap. It's the cheap man's microphone. But I'm enjoying it tremendously, and it's a USB microphone. When I talked to those Sandbox goons about it, they were all trying to sell me on buying like legitimate audio equipment, and it sounds like you probably have some of that going on over there. But I say that there are 2 different trains of thought. You either go the geeky route or you go the I'm pretending to be a musician route. And I think the USB microphone. Oh, go ahead.
I think you got it a little wrong there. There's two routes. There's I want to sound good route, and then there's I'm cheap but I want to sound decent route.
Okay. Well, I'm cheap, and I do want to sound decent.
You do sound better.
Yeah. I think
and I
everybody.
think somehow it fixed your mic or your video too.
Yeah, I did. And I can't explain that. I think perhaps it might have something to do with. Well, no, I can't. I can't come up with any logical reason. If I tried to list a reason why it made my video look better, I would sound really dumb to anyone with technical knowledge, because there's no possible way that could have happened. I think more likely is I moved the light in the room like 2 feet, and so the exposure is a lot better for the camera.
And it is a lot brighter, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's improved dramatically, because what I had been doing is I had been turning the brightness up to brighten my face, which saturates everything, so I would have to turn up the contrast. And then eventually you look like some sort of crater-faced monster. And, I more so than usual, not no offense to any of the monsters out there, But no, I don't have a soundboard. I mean, I suspect you probably do.
I have a cheap two-track mixer that I bought used.
Now, does that basically just effectively work as the bridge between the USB and the audio cables?
Kinda. I have a really old sound card that you can plug real microphones into,
Oh,
and
awesome.
I needed a mixer for it to be an amp or whatever. But nowadays, you just buy a USB interface, and then you can stick real mics into that.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking back to it, I think when I played guitar more, and this would have been, I don't know, early 2000s, late 90s, I had a computer where I could plug audio cables directly into it. And it seems like we've gone away from that. Um, but there was really no good reason to do it at that time since, I mean, where were you going to upload it to? I don't
Yeah.
even think YouTube was a thing at that point. Uh, so, you just have it on your computer so you could say, hey, come over to my house and listen to this thing on my computer. Well, no. I mean, you just call someone on the phone and play over the phone.
Well, what else are you going to record into? It still seems like an easier way to make a CD or something.
Yeah, but well, let's see. CD burners were new back then too. I had
Oh,
one of
come on,
the,
you're not that old.
I had one of
It
those.
wasn't that long ago.
I had one of those first run CD burners. It was 2X, and I remember trying to copy PlayStation games with it and it failing because they had protection on them. You had to come up with, you had to, get the chip and everything installed. But that, I'm not that old. That's right. But I did have that equipment and it was so bad. And there wasn't enough information on the internet at that time to figure out why it was so bad. But it certainly was. I don't know, but you sound pretty good. I mean, I
I don't
think.
know. I don't know what this mic is. It's something I borrowed from a friend, never gave back.
Oh wow. So if you're Butch's friend and
Don't lend me mics.
you're listening to this, then I mean, fuck, that's amazing. What an amazing coincidence, first of all. But he's never giving your thing back, and I
I
don't
mean,
think
if he asked me to bring it to him, I would, but he never did.
if you want it back, you have to come on the show because I only
Yeah.
want people with the new bass quality is this microphone, and anybody with anything worse is not allowed to be a guest.
I noticed that I cannot see the mic in your frame,
Yeah, I know because the frame is very narrow.
but the
But
microphone is very large.
the I just brought it into the frame briefly so that you could see it. But
It looks like a snowball.
it doesn't look like a snowball. What it looks like is a Saiyan landing pod from Dragon Ball Z. And I mean, I can't think of anything else that describes it better than that. I think that's exactly what it looks like. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like a little person from Vegeta popped out of it. And
Maybe he'll give you blonde hair.
no, I don't do enough weightlifting for that. But anyway, what the fuck is okay? Okay, if you haven't been on the show, which you haven't, you would know that my transitions are really good, and
Am I experiencing one right now?
you're experiencing transition because I'm talking about the transitions, and basically the media on the internet, especially when it comes to gaming, has become so terribly bad that I don't even go read this shit anymore. I mean, you can't even go to like Forbes anymore without somebody talking about gaming culture, and they never know what they're talking about.
Well,
Uh,
that's my problem with it is that it's all about gaming culture on every site now. It's not about games
yeah,
because I
and
want to read about a game. I don't want to read about the social impact it has on. I mean, it's cool to read here and there. Like it's sometimes it's informational, sometimes it's interesting, but also I want to see a review or I want to see a preview or something. I mean, sure, the sites have all that, but it's like the emphasis is so off now.
well,
Every day there's some social agenda thing.
What it reminds me of, and my formal degree is in psychology. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I did not.
But what it reminds me of is how everybody that comes out of Psych 101 then goes and like talks about it like they're a published psychologist with, you know, all these grants and research and when they've just read a Psych 101 book, they think they know everything about what causes what. Video games cause violence. Video games are, masculinizing our children. You know what was masculine? Fighting 100 years war in Europe. And that was before, computers existed. It was before people had any concept of anything. So to say that we've become more violent as a culture, I think is irresponsible to begin with. But it's gotten to the point to where whenever I see one of these things, I never go back to the site. I haven't gone back to Polygon. I haven't gone back to The Verge.
I'm banned from both of those.
It seems like Vox Media in general, it's like they're trying to clickbait as many people as possible because they make all their money on advertising. And it's just horrible. And they don't know what they're talking about. These are journalists or people with, that think they're journalists. They're talking about something that they're not experts about. If you want to talk to a gaming expert, well, good luck, because those people don't come out of the basement very often.
What they try to do is find problems when there isn't one. Like I remember an article they did that Final Fantasy 14 was getting a marriage feature, and they didn't have a marriage feature. And the title I'm reading right now, it says Final Fantasy 14 is finally getting same-sex marriage.
Finally.
No, but that's not even the thing. They're finally getting marriage, but they didn't have marriage to begin with. But they're saying they're finally getting same-sex. Why?
Yeah, like
why
finally,
they didn't have any marriage.
Finally, gays are getting the new iPhone. Finally. Have you heard about this? When they released the iPhone 6, gays were able to get iPhones for the first time.
That's good news.
The first iPhones.
It's not news.
And women and children also. It's about time women and children to be able to get the new iPhone. They've been prevented before, but not anymore.
I was banned from Polygon for commenting once. They had some obligatory sexist-related article, and I said, "Great, another article about sexism," and I got banned from the site for that.
How dare you? I can't believe you would say something just so awful to those poor people.
But it wasn't like I was being a troll. It's because it's every single day, and I'm not even joking. And just like I would say 90% of the articles say finally.
Right, and if you examine what you said, your target wasn't women or whatever. It wasn't a social. You weren't saying, "I don't believe in this cause." You were saying, "I'm sick of hearing about it," and that means that you're attacking them. So basically, I could understand why they'd censor you for that, because they don't want people to finally examine like what they're talking about. Now I'll say I will never remove comments from my site, and no, that's not true, because I've had people get on and they said some things that Hitlery would be, to put it lightly. But whenever you endanger me in terms of putting content on my site that reflects on me, that says some shit that could get me in trouble, that's the only time I would take it down.
But you're not gonna kick someone out for having a different view or a different thought on something.
If someone gets on and calls me a name, or they say that what I've done is dumb or wrong, I'm leaving it up forever. Now I'm going to reply to it, because that's what non-cowards do. When you're a coward, you just take it away and hope nobody saw it. And I think this is becoming an epidemic with these sites. Is they put up all these articles in order to bait you into clicking on advertising, and if anybody questions them, they drop the hammer, because they don't care about one person.
They really only care about comments that kind of support what the article is about.
And comments that'll get people to come back and read over and over to click more ads.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, if you can't take criticism, then how are you supposed to improve? But they've figured out that they don't have to, as long as they put enough information out there to get people coming back. They never have to get better, and they never have to like write anything original or creative. Another thing that's become a big problem with these sites is they recycle topics from other sites that they're not even affiliated with. For instance, Massively will put out something and then source Polygon, or they'll source Kotaku, and it's the same article. Now,
every site does that.
Yeah.
Every topic,
for whatever reason, they're allowed to. Apparently, there's no plagiarism on the internet. Well, they're not quoting; they're just paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But this isn't a English class. You're not copying for a grade. I mean, you should come up with an original, slant on it, or just link to a site that has real news. I mean, if you're not going to come up with a real article, why do you exist? I mean, why?
That I agree with you, but I also remember I was following this blog, some Microsoft-related blog, and every time this person would tweet an article on their site, literally all they had on the site was a link to another site, and it annoyed me a little bit. They didn't even give like a preview of what it was. It was just like, here's an article from this site, go read it. I wasn't really into that. They just shouldn't do it at all.
Well, and to get to the link, you had to go through a site with their ads on it.
Yeah, but I do think they should. If it comes from a source, they should make it so the source is obvious and link to it somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't think. I mean, unless you're talking about these top 10 list sites, usually the source is pretty obvious. Yeah. But if you go to like
BuzzFeed,
yeah, BuzzFeed is a good one.
Lifehacker or whatever.
They don't source the shit most of the time, or if they do source it, they source it as a source that is sourcing another source. Like they'll source Tumblr.
Trail.
When the person on Tumblr, didn't source where they got their thing from.
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh, it's not us, it's this guy on Tumblr." Well, you're making millions of dollars, so the person on Tumblr isn't. I mean, why are you? Why is that okay for you?
Yeah.
But they don't care, man. And it kind of reminds me, if you were familiar with College Humor, that is a site that has devolved. Now, they still put out original content, and that's what I respect about them. But if you look at the Wayback Machine of their site, it's like they are finding new and interesting places to put ads. Like they can't make as much money on what they had, so they come up with a new frame to fit more ads in, and they come up with a pre-roll ad. Well, somebody comes up with ad blocker, and then they say, "Oh, you can't watch it unless you remove ad blocker." And I'm getting a little sick of it.
I haven't looked at that site in a long ass time.
And I think the even bigger issue here is that this is the fucking internet. Okay? We are on the internet where people are terrible to each other all the time. And this has happened for a decade. I mean, people have been horrible. And all of a sudden, everybody's so fucking sensitive. Like, they're coming up with all these issues and being so sensitive when people have been telling me they were going to kill my family on the internet for, at least 10 years. You play a game and somebody's like, "Oh, you fucker, I'll gut your child." And that's normal. I don't know where it's coming from. If it's just the younger generation coming up and they're surprised their parents somehow kept them away from the internet. But these kids are terrible, so it can't be them. It's got to be like people teaching their grandparents how to get on the internet. and that's what's coming, because everybody's mom and dad is on Facebook now, and now their grandparents are getting on Facebook, and they're, reposting the same kind of chainmail shit that they've been sending forever. But I don't know. I mean, can you think of any reason why everybody is such a whiny bitch on the internet? Like,
Probably because the last 20 years beyond, people tell each other they're going to rape each other and murder each other while they're gaming.
yeah,
But up until the last couple of years, it's always been dudes talking to dudes.
yeah, or
Now,
at least they thought.
but now you put women in the fold, and it's a new world for gaming and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know what the statistics are. It does seem like, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all for gaming to be 50-50
No.
men to women. I don't think anybody would say that it is, because I mean, it's a diverse group. People come up with diverse ideas. They get in the field and they make things better.
Mm-hmm.
What is bad is is people trying to enact their own vision on other people who have money at stake, and it's become a little bit ludicrous. I mean, you look at Anita Sarkeesian, and I'm gonna get in fucking trouble because you're not allowed to say her name
No.
at all. You're not even allowed to like think about who she is without the Twitter police jumping up your asshole. But she has just, I mean, the fact that she's making demands of developers, and not just demands, but she's calling them immoral. She's saying that they're caught, like recently she said that they're promoting, a masculine identity which causes school shootings. Well, that's fucking terrible. And there's no research to support that. So,
No.
I mean, even stating it, saying, I want attention. And
Before video games, there was Marilyn Manson. That's why there were school shootings.
well, and obviously that's a joke for those that can't tell. Based on the tone, Marilyn Manson also didn't cause school shootings. People's parents who saw their kid cutting up rabbits in the front yard and said nothing caused school shootings. I'm putting it squarely on those parents.
Yeah.
But, it's not really fair either. Maybe they were secretly cutting up rabbits. That happens. But regardless, mental illness is an issue. The fact that it's stigmatized, the fact that the treatment of mental illness is stigmatized, it causes a lot of problems because people have fucked up brains, and unless they get it fixed, they're going to do something crazy. And that doesn't mean that you get to get on the internet and blame people with arm hair for it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not because their dad made them play football. It's because there's a part of their brain that is dead or working too well, depending on what school of thought, that caused them to snap and do something horrible. And it's not just that. It's just that every time I sit and I watch something that she's done, and I'm still talking about the same person, we've kind of deviated a little bit. Every time I've watched a video she's put out, it's full of holes logically. Like, it's not sound at all. And you can't criticize it. Because if you say anything bad about her or about anyone that isn't the same as you get crucified for it. And I'm not going out. I'm not giving people death threats. I'm just saying, this seems a little dumb. Why would you say this thing that sounds dumb? And that's not okay, apparently.
Now, the only thing that I have ever noticed about stuff like that is I've never thought anything to do with like sexism and stuff, but the E3 these days, every single game is just a blood fest, and it's like head cutting offs and zombies and everything like that.
You mean AAA? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like all the big games on E3, that it's like extreme violence, and I personally don't believe that that's causing any shootings, but it would be nice to see some games that are just more about fun come out.
Yeah. But you say that, even if you look back at the Nintendo Entertainment Center, I mean, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. It's a game about how you're a little tiny dude and people are beating the shit out of you easily. And it's like, by the grace of you memorizing their patterns, that you don't get destroyed. I mean, that's a good lesson. But, and, you know, Contra and all this other shit. But yeah, they also had games back then like Frogger or Mario or whatever that aren't about tearing open someone's bones and drinking their marrow. And yeah, it does seem like things are getting more violent, but it might just be because things are higher. They have higher polygon counts. Maybe you can see.
Yeah, and violence overall is cool, like in a video game.
Oh yeah, violence rules.
You can't do it in real life, so you might as well fantasize it somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's a better output than in real life, don't you think?
I think so, and I don't think that you could make an argument that we've become more violent as a society since the invention of video games. Because if you look, you know, further back than that, it was like, which ethnicity are we going to cleanse? And that, I mean, the most violent time in the history of the world is not now, even though it seems like it. I think that people have evolved a little bit, but we still like violence. We still watch sports. We watch, you know, MMA fighting. Not me, because I don't like to watch naked dudes roll around. But
you got to be a hillbilly to like that.
Yeah, that and NASCAR. But that doesn't. I mean, people for the most part, they don't go out of their house and club a woman to death and drag her back to their cave. If you're doing that, you're probably in Louisiana. But it's just not common anymore. And for somebody to use inflammatory language to insult our culture, that's a reason why people act out. Is because of the judgment. Is because they feel alienated by these bullies on the internet. And you know, we got to draw a line somewhere. We need to figure out a definition for the difference between, you know, saying something to somebody and just like shitting all over who they are.
Yeah.
And what they represent, and all their groups and everything. Because the Al Sharptons of the internet come out. And they try and get their clicks, and it's sick. It makes me sick. I don't have anything else to say. That's all I had to say. So who's going on our list of the worst gaming media sites?
Polygon, The Verge, just because they.
What's the same company?
They don't let you have an opinion. A whole Vox or whatever.
Vox Media. And that's not even. I think people were mad at Kotaku at one point, but for the most part, Kotaku seems okay. Sometimes
I kind of generally. There's a lot of articles that bug me on there, but I do kind of like how they don't have much of a filter when they post stuff.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I think it's a lot like you see in normal media. The further back you go, like to the IGNs and the GameSpots and stuff, the less bullshit you find.
Oh, I'm always on IGN because they got game stuff. That's what I want to read.
Yeah. They say, here's a review of the game, not let me review how you feel about women.
Let me tell you how you need to feel about women.
Yes, let me tell you why what you thought about women was wrong. And I don't even know. I'm just gonna cut this off because I don't want people to write terrible things about me, but it's gonna happen inevitably, and I'm not gonna censor it if they write it on the site. So if you want to leave a comment on the site about what a caveman I am, I would greatly appreciate the traffic. Thank you. But yeah, and I think an excellent example of the media taking control of things was with this Brittany Maynard thing in Oregon. And this is another transition.
Good one.
Did you like the transition?
You almost did a good job, but then you called it out.
I did. I had to call it out because that's a theme. I have
All
to
right.
I have to say when there's a transition. How fucking horrible must it be to live in Oregon if they make euthanasia laws?
Tell me about this story. I don't know much about it.
Okay, Brittany Maynard had brain cancer, and I'm
Yeah.
simplifying. It was like glioblastoma, something or other, bliggity bloggity medical talk. She was dying, and it's not one of those, oh, we think you're going to die in X amount of time unless you eat vegetables or whatever. She was on a decline. She was going to die, and it was going to be horrible for everybody around. I mean, when you die of this kind of cancer, you lose your ability to speak. You go crazy. It's brain cancer. You lose consciousness, and then your family has to make a decision about what is life. And then the news and politics, they all get involved. And because there's a law on the books in Oregon saying basically if your situation is bleak, it's legal for a doctor to, help you along and go out with dignity. I think it's called the dignity law or something.
Yeah.
She was able to take it into her own hands. This is a little bit of a serious topic. And I think it's a great thing, but depending on what political news station you watch, it's either, it's like another abortion topic. It's basically something that has nothing to do with politics that, has been turned into the Democrats, they think that everybody should kill themselves, and the Republicans, they think, oh, life is sacred, we should string them along until, they degrade and become a zombie. And normal people, they don't think either of those is true. The truth is always more towards the center, and you'll never see a news outfit say, well, why don't we just respect what she wants, And she did. She did. She took her own life, I think a couple days ago. And it was the best decision for her because she made the decision herself. And the polygons of the world, they all have something to say about it.
So I don't know why, but I was coming into this thinking that you were going to be against it for some reason.
Against it?
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that, but the whole time I was thinking, yeah, I think is that the only state that has that law?
There are 4 states, and I don't remember which ones they are, but I know Texas isn't one of them.
So what happens in a state that doesn't have it? If you're in the same situation and you want...
You got to do it yourself. And that's the difference.
You have to
is
do like a legitimate suicide.
Yeah, which is shockingly difficult, apparently.
Yeah.
But, if you live in a state where you're not in control of your own life, you have to find the means to do something to take advantage of you got to get shoelaces out or whatever. And then if you fail, it's a crime.
Did she have to prove that she was coherent and not brain damaged or anything?
The conditions are basically that you have to be a resident of the hospital, and you have to have doctor consensus that you have less than 6 months to live. And that's pretty much it. The doctor has to agree to do it. They don't force doctors to do it. And then they just, prescribe you an amount of medication that would do the trick. Instead of you, as an untrained person, having to figure out how much a leave you have to take. Which doesn't work, people. Don't suicide with a leave. It's a bad idea.
I think having any law to stop that is silly.
It's a little bit crazy, and I think it's part of a bigger issue, and that is that we imprison and punish people for non-violent crimes at a rate that is just preposterously high. You have no control over what goes in or out of your body, and So if you decide that you want to like, and I'm not a drug person, but if you decided you were going to do a drug, then you go to jail, and then a guy like me who works for a living has to pay for you to live for the remainder of your sentence, potentially in and out for the rest of your life, and that's fucked up on two ends. Like, why do I got to pay taxes to support people that aren't going to kill anybody?
There was a transition.
Is it? Well, I'm still talking about the same thing, sort of. It's getting a little bit more political, but as a libertarian, I don't think it's my place to pay for you to eat and sleep and have shelter just because you're too depressed and decide to take a bunch of pills or whatever. It's a little bit crazy, and the fact that we have so many people in prison that don't have a violent bone in their body.
Are you saying there's people in prison because they failed at killing themselves?
No. What I'm just talking about, drug abusers and people like that, people that are just trying to make the best of a bad situation.
But what about the people slinging all the heroin and stuff out?
Hey, I mean, if you decriminalize drugs, then you can start regulating. And I'm not a big person on regulation, but the people that are killing people, the people that benefit most from the war on drugs are the cartels. Because they create a scarcity of a product, which increases the value of the product and makes it profitable to, have death squads go around killing people. It's like all these deaths are on our hands. And if we would just decriminalize and let people do whatever the fuck they want as long as they're not hurting anybody, I don't see the problem with that. I mean, if they want to kill themselves with overdoses or they want to take heroin and pass out on a couch somewhere, it doesn't affect me. So why am I paying for jails to put these people?
So you live near Colorado, kind of, right? If you,
not really,
closer than me, but the pot's legal there. But what if you grow it yourself? Is that illegal?
There are laws, and the only reason I know this is because I know somebody who works at a growery in Colorado, and apparently you can locally grow an amount which they have deemed is like just enough for you. You can't grow, a farm without a license. And that's how the state makes money. I mean, Colorado's doing great because of this. They're capitalizing on a whole new, marijuana tourism that didn't exist before. But you know what they're not doing? They're not like gunning down Mexican villages.
But are you proposing that, say, we decriminalize heroin and we have heroin dispensaries? Who's going to set that up, and how are they going to regulate something that does nothing but bad?
Well, let's not forget that heroin was used medically in place of painkillers and things.
So medical heroin,
extremely effectively, mind you. It's very effective. It's addictive, but the biggest problem is that the people giving it out, like if it came from a pharmacy, there would be something written on the bottle that says like, inject this much heroin into your eye to get like super good, to get in good condition. And then anybody who overdoses on it, it's like, well, they're too dumb to read the label. Good, right?
Yeah.
But and then Darwinism would take place, and everybody would be like smart enough to take drugs, at least. But I don't know. I mean, when you look at places like Amsterdam or whatever, I don't think that they have big issues with violence. I think that people are pretty chill there for the most part.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Going back to this woman, whatever her name was.
Yeah, Brittany Maynard.
She, I don't think anyone should have a problem with what she decided to do, but also if someone else decides to do it, I don't want it to just flood my Facebook feed. Like
Yes.
I saw that so many times. I never read the story, but I saw the title of it so many times. And it was a little annoying.
Right. Well, listen. This law is old. It's not a new law. People have done this, and it was just basically this time they thought, oh well, she's cute enough or whatever. Let's make her, famous for this reason. And or maybe somebody in the family wanted to profit off of it, or maybe somebody at a church somewhere wanted to profit off of it. But I don't have a problem with anybody making a decision as long as it's their decision.
Yeah, I agree.
And when you take the decision away, well, which was basically what would happen. I mean, if you look back at I don't remember who it was back in a while back. Let's call it a while back with so and so. When you are unconscious and you're not coming back and you're in a coma, then it's up to the family to decide, and then it has nothing to do with what you want, unless you have a DNR or whatever, and it shouldn't be on you. You know how fucked up it is that you have to say, "Kill me if I'm going to die." Like, that's such a horrible thing to think about. But it's not cowardly what she did. It's not like she had a treatable depression, right, and just couldn't be bothered to go see somebody about it. She was dying.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it should be illegal to make a decision like that, but I do think that the terms have to be pretty strict.
They are. If you go read about the law, it's not willy-nilly. There are no mentions of willy-nilly.
Like, I'm balding. Let's do this.
What? You're gonna kill yourself? All right. Nice hat.
This is my public debut of this hat.
Yeah. So
I bought it and I thought it was a really stupid looking hat, and I never wore it out in public. But I didn't want to emphasize my baldness on the stream, so I put it on.
So are you a train conductor?
No, and I'm not a Civil War vet either. I just it's the only hat I got.
Yeah. Well, and that's something, as gamers are aging, we're finding ourselves looking more and more deranged with each passing day. And I got to wonder, because I'm receding a little bit. There's not a history of baldness in the family, but I got to think that if I started going bald, I'd pretty much just shave it off immediately, man. Like,
yeah,
there's
but
just no
you don't
reason.
you don't have like a massive head. I think I'm gonna have to go like the wig route.
The wig route.
I'm not that bald yet, but it's approaching, and I'm trying to prepare for it.
Have you looked into like ass hair transplant?
I don't care that much.
I have so much ass hair that it wouldn't even be a problem. They would transplant it. I would still have tons of ass hair, and then I would have like this massive afro with like shit in it.
You'd have a stinky ass head.
Yeah, they call me asshead, but I'm not super worried about it. I mean, the main thing I have going on is I'm going super gray, and I'm not going to get in too close to the camera, but man, I am going gray like crazy, and I will be fully gray in the next couple of years. Mark my words. And it's because I have a baby, and it's so fucking hard on your body. Like, the hours of having a child versus the hours of just being a dude. Yeah. It's not good. You have to change everything. But baldness, I don't know. I've seen some theories by bald scientists that say that hair is not necessary anymore, and this is just an evolution where,
So everyone's just going to be bald.
The ape is devolved, and somebody who has no hair anywhere would be fully realized, and then at that point you grow like a tusk or something. I don't know. We can't predict what's going to happen. It sounds like bullshit to me, but I'm not grasping for straws. Either way, no, I think regardless of head size, which my head is pretty large, I would still shave it off, because at least then you could pretend like you are like a supremacist or something. You could at least fit in there.
I don't know. I think on my particular giant head, I would have a better time looking like George Costanza than I would shaving it off.
So, but with your luck, you'd be more of a Danny DeVito. Do you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Oh yeah.
Danny DeVito has to be one of the most repugnant humans on the face of the earth. And it's like every season they make him somehow look even uglier than he looked previously.
But they don't even make him do anything. It's just him.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, when you get out of bed, don't take a shower, and then come out and we'll do the show. And that's what it looks like. I don't know if they use hair extensions or whatever, but he looks like totally crazy.
And he's like 3'6".
Yeah. He is not a large man.
He's large, he's just short.
Height wise. But I don't know. I'm hearing some pop from my microphone, and if I get in real close and I go pup 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 pup, you can hear it a lot more probably.
Sounds like you need yourself a pop filter.
I ordered one. Transition time. And I got it on...
You almost had so good.
I got it on Amazon. And I got it along with some other little knickknacks. And I signed up for the free Amazon Prime trial that I have never done.
It took you this long to do the trial.
I know, it's fucked up, right? But it was this time that I ordered a $5 pop filter. And I didn't want to pay $3 shipping on a $5 pop filter, so I got the free trial. And I gotta ask people, like, do you end up ordering enough shit to make it worth the $100 a year? I mean, I can't imagine ordering, that many items from Amazon, unless, I guess, if you did all your birthday and Christmas shopping, you have a big family, you have a wife who likes shit. But I don't know, man. Like, what's been your experience with it? Have you bought enough to make it worth the money?
When I did my trial, how is it? 7 days, 14 days, or something?
It's 30 days. You get 30 full days.
Month? Oh yeah. Well, I remember when I had my trial going, the fact that I could get the shipping made me more determined to buy stuff. And really, if you don't buy a lot, you're really just prepaying probably more than you would that year for shipping.
Yeah.
Anyway, and now that I don't have Prime, the fact that I had it for a month and how nice it was getting stuff in 2 days, I'm now finding myself choosing that 2-day option, even though it costs a ton.
Yeah.
So it would probably be worth it for me because I like good stuff fast.
Well, you got to think you could just sign up for another Amazon account and just get another 30-day free trial. But I've been accused of cheapness on this very episode, and it's absolutely correct. And I'm willing to wait the 5 days. I mean,
did you order that pop filter longer or less than 2 days ago?
I ordered it just tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hope that it actually comes on time for you. Otherwise, you're definitely never going to get it.
I think it probably will. I had an issue with this microphone that I ordered not on Amazon Prime over a week ago, where they didn't even put a shipping label on it for a week because they were, I guess, trying to inflate the delivery time to get me on Amazon Prime.
I doubt that.
Yeah, this is the Amazon conspiracy is what's happening right now. And so what happened was on Friday night at about 2 a.m, they said, okay, your shit is shipped. And it came on Saturday. So it took like 12 hours for them to deliver the package from when they actually
shipped it. For
shipped
someone
it.
to put it in a box?
Yeah. And it was already probably in a box. I mean, it took them a week. in order to make it 5-day shipping instead of 5 to 8 day shipping. It took them a week to make it that kind of shipping, so they had to wait.
In general, I usually have a pretty opposite experience because even when I choose standard $2 shipping or whatever, I end up getting it in 2 days. So that's my thing stopping me from getting Prime, because if you're going to get it in 2 days anyways, it's not worth it.
You must be near a warehouse or something.
I don't know.
But in Texas, we're near nothing. Okay, to be fair, there's an Amazon warehouse in Texas, but they never seem to have the shit that I want. It's always coming from like California, Virginia, or some fucking asshole place. Yeah. And takes forever. And I don't know why, and that's why I order from Newegg most of the time.
Basically, if you see yourself spending around or more than $100 a year to ship stuff
on shipping, just on shipping, when I wouldn't spend $1 on shipping, I would always just take the free shipping.
There's not always that option.
Well, I would never buy something that upcharges me for shipping. You're venturing into
cheapdom,
frugality that is Miguelito. It's not that I don't have the money. I just, whenever I think about $2 here, $2 there, I'm like, yeah, that's like 3 minutes of work that I did.
It's chump change.
But that's I went to the office, I typed for like 2 minutes, and that's shipping. That's 2 minutes of my life.
That's 2 tiny little bitch minutes.
Maybe you're right.
If I'm buying, like, the higher the price the item is, the more I'm willing to pay for faster shipping, because it's obviously going to be a cooler thing. So if it's like $60 and they want me to pay $12 for 2-day shipping, I'll probably do it. But if it's $5 and they want me to pay $12, I won't do it.
Yeah, well, you would think it would be proportionate to the size of the object you're buying. Like if you had a thimble that was like $80 and they charge you $12 for shipping, you're like, what the fuck is a thimble? And then you wonder what kind of badass thimble that would be.
Peter Pan powers.
It's probably made of like, I don't know, what's Wolverine's shit made out of? Adamantium.
Adamantium.
And what? Speaking of transitions, the superhero shows, man. Why are there so many?
Well, don't ask why, because it's cool and we shouldn't press our luck.
Now I watch Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't watch that one. I don't like Marvel. Get out of here.
Well, I like Joss Whedon, and that's the reason why I watch, is because it's got his sense of humor, and I like it. I liked Firefly. I liked Buffy when it was new, and so I watch it for that. I think
don't follow him on Twitter.
I don't, because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
He's a social justice warrior.
Social justice warrior? You must be a racist, sexist bigot for knowing that term.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. What's worth watching? Like, how do you weed through?
Arrow's best.
I'm never gonna watch The Flash. I know that for a fact. I watched like 10 minutes of it, and I was like, this is fucking terrible.
But you watch Arrow, don't you?
I do. I've gotten into Arrow.
You're caught up completely, right?
Yes.
And you've seen Mr. Flash show up in the show.
Yeah, and it was like bullshit, worthless episodes.
So you like the Arrow that's more realistic?
What I like is the dark tone. Honestly, when I was watching The Flash and I saw the scene with the Arrow in The Flash, he even seemed like dumber and more pointless. Like, because of the context of the show. He's like, hey, I know I'm some dark character, but not for this show. Hi, guys. It's the same actor, so you're like totally thrown off. You don't see any shadow over his face because they light it like a fucking Disney cartoon. And I don't know. The whole idea about... I mean, the Arrow is basically Batman in terms of his backstory. He's like the terrible shit happens, so I'm going to go murder people. And I think that makes a good superhero. I mean, you look at Wolverine, who's a good superhero because basically in the past, people he liked have been murdered, And even worse, he doesn't even know about it. He's dark. He doesn't even know why. He's just got a bad attitude. He's got no memory.
Yeah, Arrow's a great show, and I agree that the darkness kind of gives it its appeal. But the Flash couldn't survive without Arrow because it's basically just a contrast for the dark for people that don't want constant dark.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty good. It's not a bad show.
They both kind of evolved out of Smallville, I think.
Yeah, and they're both much better than Smallville.
And Smallville had dark and light moments. So I think probably they were trying to figure out, like, why was this successful? But from what I can tell, even if people don't talk about watching it, Arrow seems like a pretty fucking popular show. I mean, it's getting renewed over and over. And, I mean, for the Green Arrow, who basically is the shittiest superhero on the planet, people seem to like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. And what I like about it is that the continuity through the season, it just keeps building, and it's like one big episodic thing. But the Flash, so far, what I don't like about that is that it just feels like a repeated thing every episode or so far. So if they can do that with the Flash, where you want to see what happens on the next episode because of what happened in the last one, it'll get better.
But that's the fucking problem with a superhero that's like impossible to defeat because he's so fucking fast. It's like what is the adversity he's gonna face?
It's just gonna become a superpower guy comes and tries to fight him, and he fights him.
It's like, does the paper rock scissors you have beat the paper rock scissors I have? Who knows? And that's bullshit. I mean, kryptonite at least was Superman's thing. Like, you could beat him with kryptonite. Oh, he's got one weakness. Well, that's his only fucking weakness. So if you have no kryptonite, which is basically
don't waste your time.
It's basically the Flash. He's like, how do we stop this guy? Oh, I don't know. He's already killed us all, and we didn't even see it because he's faster than anything.
And it's a little like what's the word, like
sophomoric?
Yes, it's all about
childish
love affairs and shit.
Yeah. Oh no, that wouldn't be. It's a little.
He has a ongoing relationship with Felicity Smoke.
Oh, is that something that's happening?
So that's a little cool. That factor that she's on the show is cool, but.
Yeah, but again, it's like she is the dork-ass retarded nerd from Arrow, and he's not a
dork-ass retarded nerd from Flash.
She's not even an interesting character. Like, are you even supposed to like her in Arrow, or is she just like annoying and they're trying to move her to another show to replace her with somebody that?
Yeah, I almost got lost at the beginning of, I don't know if it was this season or last, when Oliver had a thing with her.
Yeah, but it's like why would you have a thing? She's fucking annoying. I don't know.
People are into nerds, dude.
Yeah, this whole like the whole okay, you want to talk about a trope for women in something? The trope for women in WB shows should be explored. I guess it's CW now. But
the women Oracle type thing.
The women in all those shows, they're so bad. It's like nobody wants to see them or talk to them. They just seem like super annoying.
And they kill them all off.
And they pick the ones with the dumbest faces, like they're looking at a train coming.
Laurel doesn't even have a jaw. This doesn't exist.
Well, I'm not gonna criticize her beauty.
She's fine looking, but I can't look at that jaw, man.
Kind of the opposite of what Jessica Simpson has going on.
I think her sister makes for a better looking Canary, like costume wise.
Yeah, but she was so thick. It was it was just weird.
Thick.
It's like you don't believe that she could jump on a box. she's like rolling around and eating a cheeseburger.
She's not thick, dude.
She was very thick. Go back and rewatch it.
She had a bit of a butt chin, and that was it.
You're misremembering. Because she had like bigger arms than I do. Which I guess is realistic.
Yeah, she's tough.
Sure, she's tough. Tough, and when she shows up at Pizza Hut, everybody knows it.
A show that I can't figure out if I like or not is Gotham.
Oh yeah. That's a tough one.
I want to like it, and I think it's kind of cool that it's there, but it's like campy, and it's ugh, it's got what's her name, Jada Pinkett in it, and I can't buy her
Is that
character.
is that who that is?
Yeah,
Oh
I,
shit! Is she okay? She's not married to Will Smith anymore.
she is.
Oh, so she's Jada Pinkett Smith.
Aunt Smith, yeah, but I like her generally, but in this show, she's just so fake, and it's so hard to like get into the show because
I'm evil, and you can
you can
tell
see
because of the
through her.
way that I talk.
And the
By
penguin,
waiting.
like, I mean, they all look kind of good, but the show
No.
itself, it's just like
Here's your fucking problem.
it's shallow. Well,
I've got your problem. Does anybody who is a fan of Batman think, wow, this Jim Gordon guy is somebody I would like to watch? it's
you
like,
put an OC guy in, maybe.
oh man, let's watch Jim Gordon and see what he's doing. I bet he's got a lot going on in his life. No.
They got comic books about him. Like,
Do
just,
they?
yeah, I don't know what it's called.
The Adventures of Jim Gordon, the master
It
of
was
being
more
gray with a
detective-based.
mustache.
I think if they put better like mysteries and detective factor into the show, so where they could just mark-
Jim Gordon.
they got the what's the name of that one? The Law and Order theme.
Jim Gordon isn't even the best Gordon from comic books. Flash. Wah.
Nah,
But yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
gonna keep watching it, but
Yeah, I'll give it another season because it's dark, and I think that's the thing that I enjoy about. I mean, since I enjoyed about one thing, I'm not gonna write something else off. We'll have to just see how it goes. I don't dislike the Penguin character. I just think,
I think he looks kind of good for the part.
yeah, but why is he so thin, man? It freaks me out.
he just his the way he acts, it's just so like over the top, and
Yeah,
I guess maybe it's kind of cool because kind of comic booky and the campy factor. Some people like that, but
and there's a lesbian arc.
oh yeah,
I mean,
every show's got a lesbian arc these days.
you absolutely have to have a lesbian arc in order to be successful with dork-ass nerds. And it's pointless. It has no purpose. There's no reason why that female police officer has to be a lesbian or a woman other than the fact that they want to capitalize on people that like lesbian kissing. But, I mean, you say it like, finally, there's a lesbian in Gotham. Finally, that's the Verge article. But it's
About damn time you put.
it's
a
not
lesbian
like
in
she's
Gotham.
it's not like she's a believable, lesbian. It's not like she's it's
And
basically just
she's not even a lesbian. She's a former lesbian.
a form. Okay, so you have a bisexual and a lesbian in the show then.
Yeah, there you go.
Good lord, we're breaking boundaries down. But the way that they're doing by only emphasizing the sexualization of the lesbians is basically worse than not having them at all. The cop could be a guy, and it would be a better story arc because they wouldn't be focusing purely on that. They would say like, "Oh, hey, guy that I used to be in love with, who's not a woman." You know? And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with lesbians, but they gotta be messed up about this too, right? It doesn't seem like it's doing their cause any good.
No.
Unless I'm wrong about lesbians and that all they care about is like kissing up on other girls, and it's basically just like what every middle schooler wishes that they were.
It's not like they're gonna explore their relationship any further.
No, it was
They talked
only
about
there.
it once, and they had a kiss, and they got it out of the way. And
Yeah, that was the whole point, man. I don't
Yes.
know. I don't see it's just like every time you start getting into the show, they throw in a story arc that goes nowhere, that has nothing to do with anything other than trying to like give 12-year-olds a funny feeling.
Yeah, I was actually watching that before we started this, and tonight's episode has a pretty cool new villain in it, but they recycled the character from I think Flash. It was the same actor, not the character, but the same actor.
Yeah, that reminds me of. Have you ever seen the show? This is going pretty tangential, so it's almost like the theme of this is talking about CW shows.
All
But have you ever watched Supernatural?
I think is that the one that has the girl with the short hair? She's kind of hot.
That's so fucking vague, man. I don't even know what the girl with the short hair who's
Does it
got
have
breasts.
a famous fairy tale character or something in it?
Fairy tale character.
I don't think I've seen it.
I don't know. What's her name? Felicia Day
Jennifer or something.
is in it. Occasionally, she's been in a few episodes, and that's probably the most famous person that's in it.
She's in it?
Occasionally, she's a side character. But one of the people... Okay, the reason I brought it up, speaking of weird crossovers, is one of the brothers... It's a show about two brothers who hunt monsters. And one of the brothers is Rory's boyfriend from Gilmore Girls. And so the whole time I'm thinking like, oh wow, after he dumped Rory, he sure like went off in this weird dark spin. You know?
Every network kind of does that though.
Yeah.
I mean, how many shows has OC guy been in now?
OC guy. I don't even know who you're talking.
Jim Gordon.
I don't know. I've never watched the OC because I don't know. I don't.
You always see someone from Lost in some other show.
Oh yeah, Lost. The Asian guy from Lost is in everything.
Yeah.
Like whenever you need an Asian, it's just like the Mexican guy with the goatee that's in every show. Like whenever you need a bald Mexican gangster, it's like, oh, get the one that's in Hollywood. He's like, hey, I'm the one, and they use him like for different characters throughout the show, and nobody notices. But
somehow I wish that Gotham was related to Arrow and Flash, but it can't be because
it's a different time period, man.
I don't know, but so that's what makes Gotham a little less interesting to watch for me.
Well, okay, one of the biggest things, and I kind of with a show called Life on Mars, they explored a little bit, but one of the reasons why the show, an investigative show, can be interesting when it takes place in the past is because they can't just pick up a cell phone and be like, hey, let's get this train rolling. You know, there's actually a communication issue that can occur where somebody has to like find someone in order to tell them something. And so you can build suspense that way. And it's like, oh, Timmy's caught in the well. He called me on the phone. You don't need Lassie anymore, right?
Gotham does a pretty decent job of like conveying the look of Gotham and like the 80s vibe to it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
kind of
well, that's
throwback
because
to the Tim Burton movie.
Well, Batman was conceived before cell phones, so it makes sense that it would exist in that time. Actually, if they wanted to be really like intensely true to it, it would have existed, in the Roaring 20s or something.
I don't think that would have been so good. I'm
Flappers
pretty sure they do,
around.
in fact, have cell phones in Gotham.
Hey there, look, it's Marilyn Monroe visiting Gotham. Oh, what a smoker she is.
They have cell phones and stuff, but they still have like old style cars and typewriters.
They have cell phones? I'm never going to watch again. I'm sick of it.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw one.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. Speaking of transitions. But I think that's pretty much it. This has become kind of a more of a TV centered thing. But
you've been playing any games?
Man, I haven't. I've been playing a little bit of arcade, but
yeah, me too.
Everything kind of fizzles out. Games like that. There's a finite amount of things you can do. Once you've fucked with enough people, it's kind of like meh.
I joined a guild where they were doing more of the guild-based pirating and like sea battles, and that was cool for a week or two. But now when I log in, I'm ready to log out.
Doesn't it feel like the more people that are involved, the easier it is to just be done?
Yeah.
You're not necessary anymore at that point.
You're just like an accessory.
I prefer to have a guild of like 4 or 5 people total. And then whenever you want to do something, you can't do as much, but if you do rip off a trade ship, which we did the other day, everybody gets a bunch of shit instead of having to split 20 packs between 40 guys.
I agree with you. Yeah, the big guild stuff, I wanted to try it, and it's just not that fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're doing okay still, but it's harder and harder to log in. I don't want to get better gear. It's boring. I don't want a PvE. The PvE
really
in that game is fucking awful.
Yeah, that's I've been wanting the better gear so I can do more PvP stuff, but just getting the gear is such a boring thing to do. Or if you want to craft it, it's so incredibly expensive that it's kind of a waste of time if you're not going to go hardcore, balls to the wall, do it. But
Yeah, and then people sell those weapons for like 6,000 gold.
yeah,
And you
I mean,
can't
how you going to make 6,000 gold playing how you're
selling a weapon. You got to basically just
But
hope
they
that
have
a
to
hacker
pay-
has that much money.
Yeah, they have to pay similar to that just to make the stupid thing.
Yeah, I know. And then you'd be out of your mind to use it when you could get the 6,000 gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's crazy, man. I don't know what that doesn't appeal to me, but I think Korean gamers are a little bit more hardcore,
Yeah.
and I think it shows through. There's a lot of grindiness to it that typically wouldn't fly here, but there's so much Farmville shit to it. Like, people just love that. Like
Yeah.
the non-combat stuff, and that's kind of what you're talking about. It's like a lot of people playing arcades, they don't even fight. They farm, and then they take trade packs around on a cart. They don't ever go into a combat zone.
Yeah, our first guild we played with all through alpha and stuff. That's all they did. And at first, when we started playing the game, that was cool because you can't do that in other games. So we wanted to try it. But this time around in the full game, it got so freaking boring doing that. Just to make some gold for what? And, buy something just to buy something else. It got really boring. So that's why we joined a PvP centric guild, and we had way more fun for that 3-4 weeks. And now it's kind of fizzled. But
Yeah, and it's fun, but it's like you start looking for different ways to play the game when you're already bored.
yeah,
I mean, that's a big problem that we have. It's like we go through a phase with any new MMO that comes out. We go through a phase where we're leveling, we're playing through the content, we're fighting people. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is, and this was what we were doing last week, where we would only play in a way that is detrimental to everybody else playing the game. And we stole like probably 10 or 15 farm carts from people that were just like kind of unattended, running packs back and forth. And you drive the farm cart out to a bunch of monsters and get the monsters to kill it and take the packs. That's the biggest douchebag thing you can do in that game, man, because you're not in a place where they can fight you, and you just drive it over and have monsters kill it. Then you go turn it in. You don't even turn it in for much money at all. You get the minimum amount, so they get no cut whatsoever.
however much time they can waste is the goal.
And there was one guy chased after me while I was driving his farm cart away, but he had a pack. So he dropped the pack so he could keep up with me. My buddy ran in and grabbed the pack, turned it in, and then we got both the other packs. He didn't even make it. So
there's plenty of opportunities to have a funny story to tell in that game, but
and the whole time we're talking about how we are a trade pack security service securing trade packs for people. And our fee is 80%. And that's what we do. And when phase 2 happens, we know that the game is not long for this world, because basically we're deriving our entire pleasure out of the tears of the innocent. And while that may be the longest phase, it could also be a short phase. You never know. Phase 3 is basically we play Dota and we log in once a day to do our taxes.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm at the beginning part of phase 3 right now.
yeah, and you could go back to phase 2. I don't think you can ever capture phase 1 again though, because once you get past that, if you're not geared out, it's a fucking pain, man. There's no reason to do it. It's the same with every MMO that's got a grind to it, and it's just not fun. Like, that phase of the game, combat in MMOs isn't good. It hasn't ever been good. And you can't build a game around combat just because they don't do it right. And somebody's brought up on the site before, what if there was a game where the combat was like Dark Souls, like unforgiving? You go out in the world and you die all the time to monsters and shit like that are actually difficult to fight. You gotta imagine the game would fail because people are pussies.
Yeah.
So
they want easy mode. Like, that's the problem, is devs need to listen to their player base or whatever, but the
You
player base
can't.
nowadays sucks, man.
Yeah, you can't make a game for anybody anymore because people expect World of Warcraft, and if you don't make World of Warcraft or something that looks like World of Warcraft, you're gonna fail.
I think
Uh,
that I'm not too into this, but I think the only answer nowadays for MMOs is drastic rule sets on different servers.
oh man, I hate server
I hate
rules
I
because
hate it too,
basically
but how else are you gonna please everyone?
what ultimately happens with server rules, and I think Arcade did it right. I think Arcade taking the Eve model, they basically made a game where everybody plays on one server, one
Yeah.
type of server. And if you introduce server rules, people that think they're hardcore, they'll play for a week on the hardcore server, and then if they lose their shit, they'll say, "Why did I ever do this when there's an easy server that I could play?" And they'll either go there or they'll quit the game. I don't think you can give people options, and I said this in the repopulation interview because I honestly feel like if you split up your rule set, you're devoting half your time to one rule set. I mean, best case scenario, half your time, and not 99% of your time to the server with more people. And then the remaining time is set towards balancing a game that is not being made to be that game at all. I mean, you're trying to build a game around balance in PvP or hardcore rule sets or whatever. The game wasn't made to be hardcore, so you have to like spend all your time trying to push a square peg into a round hole. I don't think it ever works, and I don't think it worked for EverQuest. That was the first example where they shut down those PvP servers pretty quick. Even though I mean, that's where we played, the game was not made for that. So I don't know if there's a better way to do it. What I do know is that non-MMOs can come out with large multiplayer bases and do really well. When you look at games like DayZ or survival horror type games, Minecraft, multiplayer games like that, they have a lot of players playing. In some cases, more players than proclaimed MMOs like Darkfall.
Yeah.
And why would you even spend money on making an MMO when you can't make a fun game? Like, if you want to make a fun game, you have to make a fun game. And I don't think that you can do that in the construct of having that many people, because I think too many people complain. There are too many different opinions on what's good and what's balanced and whatever. You just can't please everybody, so why bother? And you look at Life is Futile, and they sold 100,000 copies by not releasing their MMO and just turning it into a survival multiplayer game.
Yeah, it sucks that those multiplayer games do so well, but the vast majority of MMO people hate PvP. Like, why would you want to play one without it?
Yeah, it's almost like they hate player interaction to begin with. And massively multiplayer games, their core feature that makes them good is the fact that they have massive multiplayer.
Yeah.
And if you have a situation like World of Warcraft, for instance, where you don't play with a massive number of people, you're just basically going a 5-man instance, 40-man instance, whatever. That's not an MMO. I mean, why even bother? And then they try and box up all the combat with other players. Well, that's like the best part. Like, that's the only thing that you can't like get down and predict and know everything about. You're dealing with a completely random entity, and what's the appeal? I don't know what the appeal of the massive is, unless you're dealing with those players. But those games don't make money. The ones that force people out of their comfort zone, they just fail outright.
I guess people don't want to work. They just want to take what they're given.
Oh, they want to work. They want to raid for like 9,000 hours, and that's not fun, man. There's nothing fun about that. There's nothing.
I hate that.
It might be difficult, but
in a game.
The difficulty is artificial. It's not even real difficulty. It's just, their numbers are higher, so you're gonna lose, or your numbers are higher, so you're gonna win. It has nothing to do with, interesting, fun things. It's horrible. But people do it. I don't know why. I guess because it's a social thing. Uh, I'm just over it, man. I can't do it anymore unless there's something that allows you to interact with people, see different people all the time, in an open, persistent world. I'm out. I don't want any part of it anymore. I'm never gonna try one of those games again.
I'm starting to feel the same way. If there's no reason to like sell things or buy things, that's one thing that sucks. If there's no reason to kill other players and no risk in doing so, it's another thing that sucks. And that's
Well,
what
but
like
but that's the thing is you can make a game where you don't kill players. That's fine. If you're gonna make a game where killing players, the only purpose is to make it a pain in the player's ass, and you get nothing out of it, just don't have PvP. It's a waste of time. It's not fun for anyone except for sociopaths. And the only people who benefit out of it are the assholes. Like, you're not gonna enjoy it if you're just trying to play the game that's made to be a PvE game, and somebody comes up and like destroys your face and then camps your body for an hour. It's not a game that's built to be fun for people. It's a game that is built one way, and then they added this feature onto the side. WoW
Yeah.
PvP is not PvP. It just isn't. It's who's higher level, who's got better gear, and the only people that benefit are the people that gain pleasure out of wasting someone's time.
I played WoW for maybe like 6 months when it came out, and that's about it. But I had a ton of fun playing WoW, and the only time I ever did have fun was World PvP.
Yeah.
But
There was no point, man.
right, yeah.
Like, and the
you can only do that for so long.
that's the thing. It's like the fun you're deriving out of it. It's like, ha 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 ha, I'm fucking with this guy. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm accomplishing something, because you're not. You're not getting anything done. You don't get anything from it other than feeling like happy that you've made somebody's day worse. And there's an appeal to that, honestly, but there's no reason to have it in the game when you could make a game that there is a purpose. And I mean, Arcade, they skirt the line. A lot of the combat is purposeless. However, their trade routes, their piracy, it's a fucking cool thing. I mean, it's like nobody else is doing this. And it's not that risky. You're not risking everything. It's not full loot. I think that appeals to people. And it's kind of a gateway where people that didn't like it before might get into a more hardcore rule set. And that's why I'm for games like that, even though it's not enough for me per se. But like, God, I can't believe I fucking said per se just now. But I think it's good for the genre to have, something going on like that.
And it's not just the trade runs that makes the PvP all right. It's also having the ability to kill your own faction and
Yes.
going out
Yes.
on sea battles with your guild and killing another green guild when there's reds around. And you're not killing the reds, you're killing the other green, and then there's a massive amount of trash talk. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, faction PvP is dumb. You should always, because all that means is that people in your own faction can say or do whatever they want to you. You can't like hold them accountable. So basically, Arcade has the ability to say, "Oh, hey, you're being mean to me that one time. Well, I'm gonna hide on your boat while you go for a trade run, and I'm gonna fucking kill you and take your shit."
Yeah,
like that is social justice. That's what an SJW is. An SJW gets on a boat and commits their atrocities on somebody who's wronged them.
Arcade is a good first step towards a cool game to me.
It is. It's like almost there. But
the next one to wait for is Black Desert?
Black Desert, I don't know enough about. All I know is that it looks great.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to not read much about it until I can play it, but hopefully it'll be.
Yeah, watch. It's just going to be another grind fest. It's going to be like the most gorgeous game and the worst game ever.
I know they're having some sort of loot drop mechanic. It's not full loot, but it's like partial loot.
Yeah, it's a cool game. They built their own engine, which I prefer. I think I prefer a development studio that doesn't just buy an engine and try and fit the game into it. Yeah. You see a lot of issues with Arcade because they used the Cry engine, and they try to do all these boat physics with it, and the physics for boats are fucking dumb. Like you
Like
can
launch up into the air.
you could launch like 2 skyscrapers into the air. It's not even buoyancy; it's like a gravity beam.
Did you see that video the other day where the boat was just spinning rapidly, and anything that ran into the boat in the water got flung really far away? It's like a baseball bat.
I did something like that where I harpooned the cart, the fast travel cart, and it pulled me into a sign and sent me rapidly spinning and like blowing everybody off the road. But again, it's just like the physics. So many of the physics are good. The collision is great. The fact that you can jump on somebody's vehicle and stick to it, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like calculations and arcs and parabolas or whatever the fuck they're doing, there's something wrong. Like you need to be able to sink a boat when it tips over instead of like having it launch like 10,000 feet into the air. Then again, we did find out that it's an awesome way to get up high enough to engage your glider. Because the higher you are, the less likely you are to get tossed.
That's true.
So you launch your boat like 9,000 feet in the air and then you glide off of it. That's a good way to go. It looks dumb. I mean, people that are watching are like, God, what the fuck are they doing? But, I don't know, man. I enjoy it, but I don't think it's enough. I'm going on phase 3 right now.
I get in little chunks where I'm really liking it, and then it just dies quick, and then another one.
Because you gotta have at least a small group to do anything.
Yeah.
You can't go play by yourself because there's just nothing to it.
I mean, you could go crafting or get ore or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's go craft and get ore. That's what I've been missing this whole time. Back to phase 1. Time to craft and get ore for anybody who does that for enjoyment. Need to give me whatever they're smoking because that does not sound fun. I don't know. So the only downside of this podcast is that my nipples aren't showing, but that would be illegal on Twitch.
Well, you can just cut the Twitch and keep recording. Or do you use the Twitch, don't you?
Yeah, I'm using it to. I'm keeping a local copy this time. I'm gonna see if it makes any difference at all when I watch them back. I suspect that it won't. But
go check out Caleb Hart, man.
And you are on Twitter. Are you interested in followers? I generate a lot of followers, so you should get some followers from this. Your Twitter handle is ANDYBBTT11.
That's it.
Yeah. And as usual, mine is I hate MMORPGs, but everybody knows that already because I'm so fucking famous. And so we're gonna wrap this up. I got like nothing else to talk about, and I'm sweating profusely right now. And that's it. I'm gonna cut the stream now.
All right.
Later, bros.
Later.